So I was just stating these things, that we can also collect rent from any person who's occupying that. And so this is the particular act, and we recently had the amendment bill also in 2016. So this amended this particular 1968 act and the Public Premises Act of 1971. So what are the amendments? So under this, the definition regarding the enemy subject or the enemy firm to include the legal heir and the successor of the enemy, even if they were the citizens of India or any country, that is not an enemy. So this is the change. If they are Indian citizens and they are the heir of that particular or the successor of that enemy property, so they wouldn't be considered as enemy. So they were excluded from this definition. So we need to remember this.
So, Presu eye drops which reduce dependency on reading glasses. So, it is a pharmaceutical intervention for presbyopia. So, presbyopia क्या होती है? It is an age-related condition in which eyes gradually lose the ability to focus on nearby objects. So, around the age of 40, it starts to happen. And the most effective way to manage this condition. So this contracts the iris muscles. तो इससे better focus होता है of the eye. So it helps in focusing. तो advanced dynamic buffer technology based solution है to adapt to the pH level of tears. तो efficacy और safety होती है इससे. Presbyopia, Pressview. Drug Controller General of India.
So presbyopia में the lenses which are used are bifocal, मतलब दोनों है, convex and concave lenses are used. So one is for the distance vision, जो top half होता है, that is for viewing the far off things and objects, and the
Concave.
lower half is for the closer one. हाँ, the upper half would be concave, right?
So next, use of AI in warfare. The Global Summit on the Responsible Use of AI in the Military Domain begins in Seoul today with focus on shaping global norms. India has so far been in wait and watch mode in critical global debate. तो again यहाँ पे responsible use की बात हो रही है of AI in the military domain. How we can do so. Majorly this is regarding the Israel or Ukraine relation, how they have explained this. तो जैसे यूक्रेन में AI drones, विजुअल सिस्टम जो कि टारगेट और को आइडेंटिफाई कर सके और फिर ड्रोन्स को फ्लाई कर सके उधर. फिर further interconnected swarms are also under development. AI-enabled drones are already being used to target military facilities and oil refineries inside Russia. इसराइल की बात करते हैं तो लेवेंडर और द गॉस्पेल, तो ये AI बेस्ड प्रोग्राम्स हैं to detect and strike the suspected operatives of the militant group Hamas. To robust
So
and
what is India's take or stand as far as the use of AI is concerned in the warfare or the application of AI in general sense? So we have, again, we are a part of the developments and the talks related to the issues of development and the safe use of AI in the civilian domain, and we have stood apart from emerging global debate on AI in the military use. So we are seeing, but new global frameworks for the AI arms control that is begin to emerge. And we have recently seen this summit being hosted by South Korea, which is the Summit on Responsible Use of Artificial Intelligence in the Military Domain. So this showcases that the new global diplomacy, which is shaping the global norms on the military application of AI. So it is co-hosted by Kenya, Netherlands, Singapore, and UK. So even the government, different organizations, the tech companies and civil society members, they will be participating. So it is not just only the government and the representatives. So autonomous weapons are called as the killer robots, and they're working on again computers and the algorithms generated to operate them. And then we have the issues related to the lethal autonomous weapon system, which is known as laws. Lethal autonomous, they're autonomous weapon systems. And we have again, oh, okay, even like United Nations General Assembly that is also looking into this issue. And then we're just talking about this summit itself. Focus on the responsible and the ethical use of artificial intelligence and not again as a part of the warfare tactics. So earlier, like we used to talk so much about that the nuclear weapons, enrichment of again uranium to develop again the weapons. So nuclear deterrence was one of the arguments that it is important for a country to have the nuclear weapons and the nuclear capability. So similarly, artificial intelligence can be the new form in the form of modern technology. Then talking about three countries, the world, India and China. So we are seeing that US has also introduced one of the resolutions on responsible use of AI. So resolution is again one of the formal things or the formal agreements to reach one common goal. And its effective implementation would be determining how ethically it is being used, how it is being used in a fair manner to actually enhance the welfare of the people and not to create destruction and deaths of civilians particularly. So even the role of global south countries is very important. So this is again a part of new global diplomacy. So we are in a wait and watch mode as far as India stand is concerned. So we are examining the things, different its applications. We've endorsed the call to action issued by the Hague Summit, which is in Hague is in Netherlands. Strategies as well as the regulatory courses. So right now we are not having any AI Act in India as far the latest updates are concerned. We have seen that European Union, they have a particular AI Act to regulate even the areas where AI would not be used. So that is also very important to determine for which all purposes you will be using and where you will not be using. For example, the areas which are important to maintain the sovereignty and integrity of a country, or if it is related to again, if we can use AI in nuclear technology, so that shouldn't be used because the risk is more compared to the benefits. So this is what we can learn from even the AI Act of European Union.
Hmm. Next, climate related, India generates high plastic pollution in the world, highest plastic pollution. तो what a new study found. तो again, जब हम माइक्रो प्लास्टिक नैनो प्लास्टिक की थ्रेड्स की बात करते हैं तो वो भी प्लास्टिक पोल्यूशन के अंडर ही आ जाता है. तो इंडिया burns roughly 5.8 million tons of plastic each year and releases 3.5 million tons of plastics into the environment, land, air, water as debris. तो highest है cumulatively 9.3 million ton of plastic pollution, जो कि कंट्रीज हैं नेक्स्ट इन द वर्ल्ड जैसे कि नाइजीरिया, इंडोनेशिया एंड चाइना. तो और इनमें भी कितना ज्यादा डिफरेंस है. इट इज अराउंड अप्रोक्सीमेटली 3 million टन इन कंट्रीज में, नाइजीरिया, इंडोनेशिया, चाइना. एंड इंडिया में इट इज 9, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 9 million tons. अब नॉर्थ साउथ डिवाइड की बात करें तो अगेन when we talk about the common but differentiated responsibility और nationally determined contribution की जब हम बात करते हैं कि according to the country it must be determined कि कितना contribution होएगा according to the previous emissions that have been done by the countries. तो नॉर्थ साउथ डिवाइड में notable global north और global south divide है. On absolute basis, we find that plastic waste emissions are highest across countries in Southern Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Southeast Asia. So, जो approximately 69% of the world plastic pollution है, यानी कि 70%. It comes from 20 nations. none of which are high-income countries. The further predominant form of plastic pollution in global south, with the exception of sub-Saharan Africa. So high ambition coalition must be created, such form of negotiations must be created कि कैसे इसको mitigate कर सकते हैं, and contribution होना चाहिए according to the previous pollutions that were created, plastic pollutions by the countries themselves.
So in this, we can talk about what are the solutions when it comes to, again, firstly, the developing countries of the global south, we are seeing that majorly the burning of plastic waste is seen in the global south countries. So this needs to be stopped and we need to adhere to proper waste management system, which is a critical and crucial part when it comes to planned urbanization. So this is one aspect and we need public infrastructure for the same in the form of, it can be waste to energy plants, it can be in the form of engineered landfill sites that we are seeing up in Delhi. The already we are seeing one is functional or it is going to be functional soon. So engineered landfill site means we are engineering, we are using our scientific capabilities, the scientific know-how and the application of engineering skills in order to design the site firstly, and then secondly to generate energy from it. And thirdly, we can talk about the behavioral and the attitudinal change towards waste disposal at the household level. So in that, we can talk about the Swachh Bharat mission, which is again, it focused upon the behavioral aspect and looking for alternatives, cheaper alternatives to plastic. So there we are talking about even the extended producer responsibility, or we have the plastic waste management rules where we have seen that the thickness of the plastic has been increased up to 75 microns and 125 microns. So that quality of plastic, it is used, and then we have completely banned the single-use plastics. And when I was talking about the alternatives, so there we are seeing that you need to carry your own, cloth bag or a jute bag. And even we are seeing that the firms or the outlets, they are charging for you if you want a poly bag. So that is also one of the ways of, again, bringing that into our daily life behavior, that we need to carry a something, a proper and safe bag with us.
Solar panel exports stagnate in Q1. तो again surge हुआ था 2023 में of solar panel exports. So it plateaued in the first quarter of current financial year as the its sole buyer, adopted a more protectionist stance. So photovoltaic cells made up of assembled in modules. The slowdown in exports, which had grown by more than 90% year on year. So both
So the
smartphones and
reason, what is the reason behind this fall in the solar panel exports?
लिखा है ना adopted a more protectionist stance. So maybe domestic
US
production को ज्यादा.
anti-dumping, US has initiated anti-dumping investigations against several countries
Hmm.
in terms of that they believe, this is merely an allegation right now, it is alleged that the countries, they are exporting the solar panels at the prices which is even lower than the domestic market. So that is the case when we say that anti-dumping probes or anti-dumping duty can be imposed. So solar panels, they're the fifth largest export item to the US. So largest export item to the US as far as India is concerned is the textiles. And then we can talk about pharmaceuticals also. So thirdly, we can talk about solar panels. So when we are talking about self-reliance, so how do you interpret what does India mean, or what does it portrays? So it means, firstly, we want to reduce import dependence. Secondly, we want to increase our domestic production to cater to our domestic demand, increasing the efficiency of production, generating more of employment. And thirdly, increasing our exports through increased domestic production. So this is, we can say, the what India aims when it comes to self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India.
Manjari, right now you just mentioned regarding that जो डोमेस्टिक प्राइस है उनसे भी कम प्राइस था, तो ये तो बेटर नहीं है, मतलब अगर हम अफोर्डेबिलिटी की बात करें.
Ajay, you're talking about if we are importing at a cheaper price, if that option is available to us. So it is better to import rather than produce domestically. This is the question, no? So longer run में we can say it is not desirable in the longer run because we want to develop our self-reliance in this case. We don't know कि वो जो हम import कर रहे हैं, the supply is available for which time period, and we have no assurance that those prices are going to stay for a longer time period. It might fluctuate more. We might see that again, it can become a part of geopolitics also. So even from the perspective of national security, we cannot be simply reliant on the imports aspect. So that is why it is important to self-manufacture domestically, because there are then multiplier effects also when we are talking about generating the domestic capabilities of manufacturing, because it would lead to more of capital expenditure, more of infrastructure creation. It would be generating more employment, more job opportunities. It would be, we can say, increasing the overall per capita income and the real income, and that would improve the welfare and the living standards of the people. So that's how this creates an entire chain of welfare, though, as we call it, to be a virtuous cycle. So that is why we are focusing more upon investments and FDI or capital expenditure, even by the government, when it comes to building domestic capabilities in different sectors. It can be even pharmaceuticals also. We're focusing upon creation of industrial parks, specialized parks.
Next, government to cease borrowing via gold bonds. To cease borrowing via gold bonds through sovereign gold bonds. So current financial year. Potentially contributing a 0.05 reduction to the fiscal deficit target of 4.94% of GDP. The move is driven by the relatively high cost of funds, जो कि raise हो रहे थे through this route. और जो cost of borrowing है through the sovereign gold bond was around 12%. Interest rate for the sovereign gold bond series was 2.75% per annum. 2.75%.
And what are the other sources or the other routes when it comes to government borrowing? So one is through issuing the dated securities, which are known as the government securities or the treasury bills, which are again having the tenure of 1 year or less. And in this case, the government securities, they are also known as the gilt-edged securities because they are relatively the most safer option even on the part of the lender or the investor. So this was one of the another measure that issuing government securities. Secondly, it is through the National Small Savings Fund. And then we have provident funds also and sovereign gold bonds. So these are different measures through which government ensures that we have again adequate amount of borrowing given the targets of fiscal prudence or the fiscal consolidation that we have to gradually reduce the fiscal deficit also going further. And we need to ensure that going further, if we want to reduce the fiscal deficit, it means that either the government can reduce the expenditure or it needs to increase its revenue sources. So even in reducing the expenditure, we particularly talk about rationalization of the revenue expenditure, because that is recurring in nature, that is not creating fixed assets in the economy. So creation of fixed assets is very important when it comes to generating more of GDP growth. So this is one of the aspect, and we are having like different schemes. So ensuring that there is sustainable funding to them. Their functioning is also very important when it comes to maintaining the welfare of even the backward section of the society.
Next, strong output to keep pulses prices set. So again, यहाँ पे we can talk about कि कैसे जो pulses and even the regarding the oil, there have been various fluctuations in the past as well. जहाँ पे import, export और the domestic production है उसके बीच में there were imbalances that were created. जिसमें again the government policies they were more skewed towards the consumers. So policy bias was also seen here. So again, robust kharif prospects and imports of pulses from Africa and Australia. Government is preparing to curb prices of this protein-rich staple. So sufficient supply है अभी हमारे पास, be it domestic or even via import. तो pulses production की बात करते हैं डेटा में तो मिलियन टन्स में, तो 2023-24 में 24 million tons of pulses production.
And the graph is also showing how the pulses prices has been falling. Earlier it were 18.9% change. Now it has been declining. Like we are seeing the trend, it is gradually on a decline downward trend. And the data is from the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So we are focusing upon increasing the domestic production of pulses, and they are again very important when it comes to even nurturing the soil fertility because of again the nitrogen fixation or even using legumes. So that is also one of the added benefits of cultivating pulses. And also when it comes to diversifying the cropping pattern given the challenges emerging from the climate change. So in order to ensure that the productivity, the yield when it comes to agriculture sector, that also increases. So we are seeing rising imports from Africa and Myanmar. Even Tanzania is one of the major African countries from where we are importing the pulses. So government is also right now we have not seen any final decision that it would be including more types of pulses when it comes to giving MSP prices. And besides, we are seeing prospects of Bengal gram imports from Australia. Yellow peas we are already imported. They are being used as a substitute for the chana in the domestic consumption. And also one of the benefits would be addressing the nutritional security challenge.
Next, OMC's marketing margins to get a push from low crude prices. So again, oil marketing companies जैसे कि Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum and Hindustan Petroleum, they experienced a weak first quarter. So crude prices जो हैं, they are currently at one of their lowest points. So it was driven by low refining margins, low global demand growth है, and increase in supply entering the market. जिसकी वजह से again the profits have majorly decreased. And if the crude prices they continue to decline, so upstream companies may have to reevaluate their cost structures. So impact है यहाँ पर.
So even we see that different like state governments, they take the decision to reduce, even to cut the auto fuel prices in the form of reducing the prices of petrol and diesel through reducing the VAT. But again, that is also one of the major sources of the state's revenue. So we saw like on an average, the prices were reduced by rupees 2 per liter. And globally, when we're talking about what is the current range of prices or how much range do we expect for the prices to be bound? So that is between $70 to $75 per barrel. And even like during COVID-19 period, when we saw the supply disruption, so the price even spiked up till $130 per barrel. So you can imagine the impact it has on the overall economic growth and stability, because that is the most important raw material which is again used in the transportation sector, and transportation is determining the prices of the logistics sector, so which is determining again the growth of even the food processing industries, even the growth of the FMCG sector, and even when talking about tourism, so it is related to that. Even in terms of energy generation, it is used as a fuel. So even now on the part of the International Energy Agency, they also expect that non-OPEC supply that is also going to increase. So this would be reducing the prices further. And when we are seeing there major volatility in the prices of the crude oil, which again it might lead to sudden spike in the profit margins of the oil marketing companies also. So then the government uses the implementation of the windfall tax. So windfall tax, more often it remains in the context of the oil marketing companies only. So that is to ensure that the profit that they are making, that is also within the a given stable and reliable band.
Concerns regarding GDP क्या-क्या है? GDP growth, narrowing gap between GDP growth and gross value added growth of 6.8%. जब हम GDP और GVA की बात करते हैं तो Manjari, correct me if I'm wrong, GVA is more of like GDP is more like के overall growth बताता है, and GVA is like sector wise growth बताता है कि कितना change हुआ है, and sector wise ज़्यादा detailed होता है gross value
नहीं,
added.
सेक्टर वाइज वी हैव रियल जीडीपी भी हो सकता है सेक्टर वाइज. द डिफरेंस इज रियल जीडीपी में वी आर सीइंग देयर इज like we have firstly more diversified sectors collectively showcasing what are the changes happening, and in terms of real GDP, GVA is one part of it. Real GDP would also determine how reduction in inflation has also given a positive push to the growth of real GDP, whereas inflation is not a part of calculation of gross value added. So gross value added is merely showcasing us the actual value added in a particular raw material. When we talk about a raw good or a raw thing is transformed, its value has been added and it is converted into a final product. So that is showcasing actually the capital that is India is having, how we are leveraging and utilizing that. So we talk about the capital output ratio in case of the gross value added. And then simple method or simple formula for calculating the GVA is the price of the final good minus the price of the raw material. So that difference would simply give us the value added. So it would be more on the basis of the production efficiency. When we're talking about production efficiency, so we'll talk about the gross value added figures.
तो जब हम बात करते हैं कि narrowing gap between the GVA and GDP, तो इसका क्या मतलब होएगा कि they are more of same?
हाँ, right.
तो ये क्या signify करेगा? Is it a positive thing?
So firstly, we need to understand कि the why this gap is reducing. Firstly, as it is mentioned here. So difference between GDP and GVA, it is in the form of net taxes on the products also. Like the net of, after doing the net of subsidies, what is the difference between net taxes between GDP and GVA calculation? So that is reducing. So it means if the taxes is reducing, it would be impacting the government revenue as well. And the positive would be that if the taxes are being reduced or the gap is reducing, so it means there is very small difference of taxes between the two. So from the perspective of consumer welfare and more of buying activity, we can say even the manufacturers or the sellers, their sales would also be going up. So the gap between GDP GVA growth in recent times is attributed to increasing buoyancy in taxes along with the decline in subsidies. So this is one part of it. So it is also positive because we expect the government again to reduce the subsidies, which is again an element of the revenue expenditure rationalization. But subsidies initially they can also boost the production as well. Like we have another form of subsidies recently, which is taken the new form is the production link incentive scheme. So there also government is providing financial incentive in the form of or on the incremental output. So that is also a type of subsidy only. So that is to boost more of manufacturing, more of industrial-led growth in India.
Next, health is a nation's real wealth. So again, this is regarding health, the National Nutrition Week. So National Education Policy 2020. So big change in schools, it proposed breakfast for children in addition to the midday meal, and said that if hot food isn't available, a mix of groundnuts or chickpeas with jaggery and local fruits may be provided. So ये best है when we talk about even the Jan Poshan Kendras and also the integration of the आंगनवाड़ी जहाँ पे हम education की बात करते हैं, care की बात करते हैं, तो साथ ही साथ वहाँ पर भी availability of such groundnuts, chickpeas, etc. for nutrition like boiled chanas. तो ये basic level पर ही they can help in the nutritional deficiency eradication. तो वेस्टिंग स्टंटिंग की जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, मैल न्यूट्रिशन की जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, दे कैन बी इराडिकेटेड वाया दीज मील्स. मिड डे मील सबसे पहले 1995 में स्टार्ट हुई थी इन तमिलनाडु. फिर नेशनल न्यूट्रिशन मिशन की बात करते हैं 2018 में, एंड फर्दर पब्लिक हेल्थ कैंपेन्स इन आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर्स. तो इसलिए इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है.
So also here we are seeing that one of the case studies by this NGO, which is Nourishing Schools Foundation. So they are focusing upon the school nutrition gardens. So they have prepared a proper toolkit how this would be promoted. So if again children firstly they will be knowing about the importance, how important it is for their health when it comes to the diversified diet that should be consumed. This would be again turning them into empowered citizens in the form of firstly leveraging the benefit of demographic dividend. Secondly, it can be in the form of the behavioral change in terms of their lifestyle also. And thirdly, this would be again implemented at the household level. If children are being sensitized on this aspect, so it would turn into how the entire household environment when it comes to the food choices that they are being taken, or even when it comes to they'll be having a proper like practice regarding the cultivation of a proper home garden in no, I wouldn't say home garden because schoolmate would be made. So this can be applied at the household level also. So this would also be important from the perspective of nutrition security and even food security also.
And of course, further productivity enhance होएगी of the work that is being done.
Right.
Further, from chalkboards to smart boards. So again, this is regarding the more technological integration and inclusion. So startups are transforming rural education. तो again, fueled by technology, affordable internet and smartphones. कैसे ये accessibility को enhance कर सकते हैं? जैसे कि Skillvary, Stamurai, and Science No Tech. तो ये डेवलप कर रहे हैं ऐसे सोल्यूशन जैसे कि एक्सआर एमआर बेस्ड मल्टी स्किल स्टिमुलेटर जो स्टूडेंट्स को प्लेटफॉर्म करेंगे एक ऐसा प्रोवाइड टू होन देयर वेल्डिंग और पेंटिंग स्किल्स. तो बेटर इनोवेशन, बेटर वर्क, they will gain confidence, therapy exercises, improved communication skills. ये सब इनके मेजर बेनिफिट्स होंगे. Hands on project or imagine science coming alive for rural students through experiments and model making. तो concrete वे से जो एक study होती है वो यहाँ पर होगी hands on activities के through. CSR initiatives, they also will play major role here.
So we can say it will be revolutionizing the way rural students they're engaging with education. Right now, we just talk about that basic school infrastructure, school building that should be present. जब हम PM Shri models की बात करते हैं, या even when talking about the Eklavya school model. Now we are talking about how simultaneously we can integrate the tech startups also. So this would be further we can talk about making the vocational skills also more interesting, and on also the other theoretical aspects also more interesting. So it can boost more learning outcome based education model and the curriculum.
Hmm. Next, missing the trees for the wood. The policy intervention should be reviewed for India to realize agroforestry potential. So issues with agroforestry are another example of seemingly well-intentioned policy interventions leading to negative consequences. तो मानसी दी क्यों ऐसा है कि सच पॉजिटिव पॉलिसी के भी नेगेटिव कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस हो रहे हैं?
So we'll have to go through this article इसमें mentioned होगा properly.
Hmm.
That firstly we are not seeing when it comes to adopting the agroforestry practices on the part of the farmers, and that is also we can say they are less aware about what are the benefits if they go ahead with the agroforestry, which can help in increasing the productivity, land productivity, nourishing the soil. So we have like International Tropical Timber Organization. It is forecasting 70% surge in the demand from the wood-based industries by 2030. World Bank is estimating that 42% of India's imported timber and 80% of imported teak, they hail from unstable and conflict-ridden regions. So this is very, very important data, and we have substantial opportunities. So when it comes to catering to the timber industry's demand, agroforestry is one of the sustainable solution. Particularly, we are seeing the demand for teak wood. So we have the native species in India. So again, in this also we need to take care that the invasive species they are not expanding or they are not spreading. So this is one of the challenges going ahead with its effective implementation. It would be generating more of economic opportunities for the farmers as well, for the artisans and the wood-based industries, increasing their real income, increasing their per capita income. Then we have the National Rainfed Area Authority. So here SOC levels, the soil organic content. So it means enhanced soil organic content, improved groundwater retention, reduced reliance on irrigation and fertilizer, increased nutritional value. So SOC levels have plummeted from 1% to decimal 0.3% over the past. So this can be increased with agroforestry, as I was talking about, increasing the soil fertility. Then we have National Transit Pass System. So this is very, very important article for us.
Thank you everyone for joining. We will continue in the next session.